All right, time to add the wheels and axles to our truck and finish it off. First thing I'm going to do is raise the entire assembly up so we can get under it. Now, the axles need to be the thing that connects the axles, which are just like these pins. So I'm going to ungroup this and copy this pin out. Okay. So we're going to have some axles like this down here, and the wheels are going to be attached to these axles. So we're going to have wheels attached to the axles, and the axles need to be attached to the truck. How do we do that? Remember, this is going to be a real world thing. It's going to be put together, so we have to think about how are we actually going to assemble this. Well, here's one of the designs that are used in situations like this to hold the axles. Oops, excuse me. You can add shapes. We've seen how to import, other models that we've created in Tinkercad, but there's something you can do. You can import 2D shapes that are in a certain format. So in the folder where all these movies are is a file called axle-profile.svg. And when I import that, you can see we have kind of a complex shape that pops out here. Of course, this is way too big, so I'm going to hold Shift, drag for a uniform scale, make it a lot smaller. It should be 16 millimeters wide or thereabouts. Rotate it 90 degrees that way, and then 90 degrees that way. Also should be wider than that, so I'm going to make it, let's say 6 millimeters wide. Now I'll position this up against the bottom of the truck like that. And that's looking too big to me still, so I'm going to shrink it down even more. All right, just give it an eyeball. Should look like that. Going to align all of this stuff on the edge, except not the hinge. Well, not that pin in the hinge. Right? So everything else. Just not that pin back there. Good, all lined up. Let me duplicate that one and shift drag it over here to this side. And if I need to, nudge it. If not, Looks like I need to nudge it up a little bit. Otherwise I'm going to have a gap. There we are. And using the down arrow key, I can move an object closer to me, or with the up arrow key further away. But then I turn over to the side and it's the left and right keyboard keys, arrow keyboard keys. Awesome. I'm going to make this axle longer. A lot longer. Because we want to stick it out into the wheels. Get rid of this one in the back and just select the axle and two of the axle supports. Duplicate all three of those at once and shift drag it to the back of the truck. So there I have the axles on the truck. Now we just need the wheels. So we're going to return to our import, and if you still have the truck wheel in your downloads folder, that's where you want to grab it, and then import that. Much too large for this truck, although it looks cool. Probably should scale it down. And then it's time to work until it is located in the middle. If your axles aren't wide enough that they're not sticking out of the end of the wheel, then you'll need to make them longer. There we go. So now I can nudge around until it's lined up in the middle. Change the color of the wheel to black, the way it should be. And then duplicate that wheel and shift drag it down to the other axle, which also needs to be longer. Duplicate both those wheels at once and shift drag them over to the other side. Now they're inside out, and so I'll need to rotate by 180 degrees. Now it's important these axles and the wheels are lined up exactly, so I'm going to select all three of those and do an alignment. And we'll make sure the axle is just above this notch, and sure enough it is, and that looks pretty well centered inside of the axle brackets. It's time to do that to the back. So I'm going to align. And then position it in relation to the brackets. So use nudge. To get it all centered up and squared away. And hey, what do you know? We have a truck. One last detail though. See how this hangs up here? It's just hanging over the bed without anything to support it. So we should put some sort of support in there. I'm going to add a work plane in there. And just throw in a cylinder. And make it short so that it's just under the bed. Or just under the bucket, I should say. And there. Let's group that. After aligning it. Turn them all yellow. And congratulations, it's done. We have a toy dump truck. So dump trucks aren't the only things to make. You can make a monster truck. You could put wheel wells and other cool stuff on your truck. Trick it out. Make your perfect moving, drivable toy. Okay, so have fun with that, experiment, play around, and we'll see you back here for another project shortly.